So the supposed Russian hacker group DarkSide that was responsible for the Colonial Pipeline cyber attack, the Department of Justice and the FBI just had a press conference where they said that they have recovered much of the ransom that was paid out to this computer hacking group. Now, as many of you know, the ransom was paid in Bitcoin, which is supposedly something that enables these cyber criminals to remain anonymous and never get caught. However, these funds were tracked and traced and returned to the original owners, which begs the question, if the anonymity behind Bitcoin is what enables criminals, then how did they get this? They say that they found and recaptured the majority of the ransom that Colonial paid to the DarkSide network in the wake of last month's ransomware attack. All right, let's actually go look at the documents though. Okay, so here's the application for the search warrant. And at the beginning of this, it says this affidavit is in support of a seizure warrant for approximately 63.7 Bitcoins. The subject funds accessible from the following cryptocurrency address. The address of the subject. Okay, so we have a criminal subject now. They haven't said that, but they don't have to because they're saying this is the funds of this individual. Then they always go into this big spiel about how they're a special agent with the FBI, and for these reasons, it makes sense that they're the ones applying for the search warrant. This guy specializes in cyber intrusions. Their legal authority for it is that they can do federal seizure on anything that is suspected to have been attained during the act of a felony. Then it gives all the definitions that you're going to need to know to listen to this guy. We know all these definitions except for Blockchain Explorer, I think. Blockchain Explorer, the blockchain, as we know, is a digital ledger, and anybody can see it. It's public for everyone. The reason why it's anonymous is because there's no names attached to the addresses. But once your name is attached to the address, anybody in the whole world can go look up the entire history of all of your transactions. It's very rare that the DOJ and the FBI gets to seize money and return funds back to people for that reason. So they call in this search warrant Colonial Pipeline Victim X. And it said that they were ordered to pay approximately 75 Bitcoins, okay? And they've been able to recover about 63.7 of them. And then what he does is he goes through here and he goes in reviewing the Bitcoin public ledger, the ransomware payment address received 2 payments. So Colonial paid the address that the people who ran the ransom on them gave them. They paid the 75 Bitcoins in 2 payments. And he found that on the ledger. And then he continues on down the line, showing how the Bitcoin went from this address to this address. And then it says on May 8th, 11.2 Bitcoin was sent to that address that ends in WT. And 63.7 was sent to this address that ends in 45. So they're tracking all of the different transactions that these Bitcoins made as they went through the blockchain. And I'm assuming that doing all these transactions, the individual is attempting to obfuscate the owner of the final address. And there are ways that you can do this. There's literally programs called Bitcoin scramblers that allow you to scramble your addresses in with other people's addresses. That would have made the FBI and the DOJ's job here impossible. However, unless they're able to later on attach a final cryptocurrency address to yourself. So at the end of this, he says, on the public blockchain explorer, he identified at least 23 other addresses collected together with those addresses, and they were all sent to the subject address. And it has not been moved since. So we can see that 2 addresses, the one that ends in WT, got 11 Bitcoin. That 11 Bitcoin disappeared. So they have not been able to track down the address that ends in WT. But the 63 was sent from that 45 address to this address that ends in XB, and then from this address that ends in XB to this address that ends in FSEGQ. And the address that ends in FSEGQ is the subject address. So what do I think happened? Well, I think that they actually got somebody's phone, keys, wallet, somebody's digital wallet, and they found them in possession of this cryptocurrency address. Because as you're tracing the payment that was made through Bitcoin, I think the only way that they could have proven that this that belongs to somebody is if that individual was in possession of it when they found them. And to further support that, it says here, number 34, the private key for the subject address is in the possession of the FBI in the Northern District of California. Okay. So the investigation is going out of the Northern District of California. There is a high possibility that that is where the subject is, because it's being done out of Northern California. But in order for the FBI to be in possession of this individual's private keys, there's no way for that to have happened unless that individual gave them the private keys, or unless they searched that individual and they found the private keys, in which case that's how they got the individual's cryptocurrency address and everything. My issue is that if that's true, then that means that this Russian DarkSide hacker is actually in Northern California, and I would be interested to know who the subject is that they confiscated these bitcoins from, and who the owner of the wallet that ends in FSEGQ is. The individual that is labeled in this search warrant as the subject. We would like to know who that individual is, right? Thought it was interesting, guys. I'm not a technical expert on cryptocurrency, so I can't tell you exactly what's going on here, but I can just give you what my opinion is on it real quick. And if you guys have anything to add to this, if you have any other suggestions on how the government was able to do this, if anybody wants to elaborate on Bitcoin scramblers, these programs that supposedly scramble Bitcoin addresses, how the FBI could have overcome this. In my experience, it's most likely that it's very analog, and they probably got a hold of this individual through some other police work and then got him to either give up the keys or got him in possession of them. But we don't know. We don't even know who the subject is, so we'll find out as time goes by. I'm sure that they don't want that, they don't want to kill the Russian hackers did this thing. So if there is a prosecution out of Northern California and it is somebody who isn't somebody that they want to push the narrative forward on, then it's going to be a while until we find out who subject is. But it's definitely not who they wanted it to be, or we would know the name now, right? Anyways, guys, like, share, sub. Talk to you later. Peace.